Well, I hopefully think I have a good one here for us today. We've got a 2018 GMC Sierra 1500 with a customer concern that when they're driving, it happened to them a couple times. They were driving long distance down the interstate, got off the interstate, and come up the ramp to the stop sign, and the truck died. This happened multiple times with them, and kind of the same scenario. Long drive, come to a stop, truck dies. So we've got a pre-scan here, and we have history codes of a P0106 manifold pressure sensor performance, P0340 camshaft position sensor circuit fault, and then a P0341 camshaft position sensor performance, and then also a P0455 evap large leak. Now, of the four of these, the evap large leak is definitely not going to cause this issue. We might look at that after we figure out the actual issue with the stall, but that's not going to have anything to do with the stall. Camshaft circuit and position performance, those two things could definitely cause a stall. And if the cam is actually phasing and getting stuck or something, that could cause a manifold pressure sensor performance code as well. So I think for this one, we're going to really kind of focus in on this cam position sensor, and hopefully we can duplicate this concern while watching the cam sensor and see what's going on with it. Alright, so first off, the customer did give me some information about this. Is apparently had some engine work done. I don't know the extent of what all was damaged or what happened really, but I do know it's been apart and supposedly even had a crankshaft put in this at one time. So first off, I just want to do a visual inspection of this cam sensor and the harness and everything, and just make sure there's not something strange going on where we've got like a wire issue of like a wire not being seated in the right spot and chafed or anything like that. So I'm going to use the Teslon. Every time I show this in a video, people always want to know what it is. It's a Teslon TD500. It is in the description below. There's a link to my Amazon page where I link all kinds of tools that I use and like, and this is on there. You can find it there. It is my favorite borescope camera. This thing's awesome, as you're fixing to see. So we're going to use this to kind of inspect the camshaft sensor and see if there's even any wiring issue that we need to address first. Alright, so under the truck here, the main engine harness kind of comes up and has this little connector right here, and it's got several wires in here that you can see. 3 of these is going to be for the cam sensor, which runs, I know this is going to be hard for this to focus, but there's a little metal tray that holds the harness right here, and the cam sensor is right up there. And of course this ain't gonna focus right, but it's behind this little metal bracket. So let's get the camera up in here and just make sure all this looks right. Alright, so I got this recording video for you, and we're just going to look up here. Now you can see that little tray that the harness is kind of zip tied to there, and it goes right up here to the cam sensor, and there's our cam sensor wires. Now I can already tell that that looks like an aftermarket cam sensor, I think. Well, no, that is a Bosch logo on there, so, and that looks like a GM part number. So maybe they haven't threw a cam sensor at it, but that is the harness there, and it actually, everything looks fine harness wise. The other wires are going to go up here to the phaser solenoid right here. I think it's just like, they call it a magnet of, it's a little magnetic pintle basically. It pushes a pintle that pushes on the end of the cam bolt. And then we've got that right there is the oil pressure, what do they call this, a dual speed oil pressure or oil pump, dual speed oil pump. And that would be the wires for the solenoid that controls the high speed and low speed of the pump, which is going to change it between high and low pressure. So wiring wise, at least to our connector here, all this looks okay. Let's get up here to where we can see the back of this wire. I think that's probably okay. That's all taped up. Nothing looks like it's been rubbed through or anything. So I think harness wise we are okay. So my next thing is going to be to scope the cam sensor while we drive this thing and see what's going on with it. All right, so I got the picoscope hooked up. I'm going to show you my connections under here. Generally, I like to go all the way to the cam sensor, but in this instance, it's not really possible. But these connections are really easy to get to, where this little plug is right here. You see right there. I just pulled the tape back a little bit and just pierce probed my wires that I need. Channel A, the blue one here, is going to be the 5-volt reference. Channel B, the red one here, is going to be the signal. And then channel 3 or C, the green one, is going to be our ground to the sensor. And then since I'm going to be test driving this, I do try to tie up my wires to where they're not going to come loose or get caught in anything. And then under here, up here, I've got the grounds ran over and attached to the battery. So let's just crank this thing up, see what happens with the scope capture. So key is on right now, and you can see we've got our blue trace here is at 5 volts, our red is low, and then green is also low. So let's just give this a crank. And already I see something that I don't particularly like. My signal isn't being pulled all the way up to the 5 volts. Let's reduce our time base here. You can see that sloped edge. Let's pause that. You see this sloped edge? Something is actually pulling this low. So I think we're actually going to have to get to this cam sensor. Come on. Record. There we go. That is a low. That should be pulling all the way up to 5 volts. So I'm really thinking we might have some corrosion, like some water or something in that connector somewhere. Something that is pulling this low. that's definitely going to set a cam position circuit fault and a performance fault. Yeah, I think we're not even gonna have to drive this thing. I'm gonna save this screenshot here because that's pretty good. So I just seen something really interesting. Right now the key's off, so you can see that our signal wire is sitting about 3.6 volts, okay? Let me turn this key on. We'll see if this does this again. Hopefully it does. Look at that. That has jumped up to 6 volts. How could that go up to 6 volts? Let's back up a few pages. You see we're right here. Key on. Got up to 6.5 volts right there. That is a cool little capture. I'm going to screenshot this also. Let me set you down for just a second. That right there, that's a money shot. That, I guarantee you, there is water in a connector somewhere. Guarantee it. Just from these two captures, seeing my signal being pulled low, shows that there is some kind of path to ground or something that's pulling my signal low. And then this going over the 5 volts. How could it possibly go over 5 volts? Well, the cam solenoid magnet is going to have 12 volts going to it, and then the oil pressure solenoid valve is going to have 12 volts going to it. So those could be bleeding voltage or current, the 12 volt, into this signal wire at the same time. This is pretty interesting. Let's get under here, unplug that connector, and see if we can spot what is going on with this thing. I'm really confident I'm gonna find some corrosion, some water in that connector. So let's see if we can get in here, get this unplugged. All right, I've got the connector unlocked. Let's see what we see in this thing. This one actually looks clean and dry. I mean, it does have a little dirt on it, but no liquid like I would have thought. And am I gonna be able to see up into that? Y'all ain't gonna be able to see up in there, but I can kind of see up in there. I do see some water in that side. Yeah, I wish I could get y'all in that side because I can see it. Let me go get my Tesla on camera again. Then you can see. Alright, got this recording now. Let's see. You see that little bit of corrosion, or not corrosion, but water droplets on the side there? It's hard to look at two things, and I don't really see none on the pins though. But I do see the water or something on the sides there. Let's get this connector. I want to take this other side apart a little bit. I want to get this little cover right here off and see if I can get some water out of that or something. All right, let's see here. We got anything going on inside this connector? Come off. There we go. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. The green crusties. Right there. Where's my light? Let's get some light on this so y'all can see a little better. Maybe the light ain't better. Come on, focus. I need a third hand. I still need a Caleb. Can somebody come volunteer to be a Caleb for me? But you can see that pin right there has some corrosion on it right there. There we go. Let's get this cleaned up and see if our signal returns to a normal 5-volt square wave. All right, I have it all put back together. It wasn't too bad. I just used some brake clean, a little bit of toothbrush action, and some air to clean it out, get it dried out, and let's see what the picoscope is going to show us about the signal. What do you think? Is this problem going to still be here, or is it going to go away? I've not looked yet. This is still stopped from where it was before. So let's hit the space bar. Everything's 0. It's because the ECM is asleep. The key is out. So let's stick the key in, turn it on, see what happens. 5 volts. Let's crank it. 5-volt square wave. There we go. Let's move this up out of the way so you can see that. Good looking signal now. That, I think, is a fix for this thing. Now you might be wondering, what about the map sensor performance issues? Well, think about this now. We have 2 circuits in there that is 12-volt pulse width modulated controls. So they'll be getting a 12-volt signal and then a ground command from the ECM probably. What if, when it's commanding the oil pressure solenoid, that ground is actually bleeding over into the ground for the cam phaser, and it's also causing a cam phasement issue where it's phasing the cam out? That's going to drop our intake pressure. Like if we're sitting at an idle or something and it phases it weird, it could definitely be changing our manifold pressure. So I kind of think that's what's going on with that. I don't know why we wouldn't get any codes for that, but like circuit fault codes or something. But it may not, because it sets the cam sensor circuit fault code first. I really don't know. But this is looking 100 times better. This looks correct now. And I'm going to call this a fix. I'll drive it a little bit, but the amount of time they were saying they were having to drive this thing for it to act up, I don't have that kind of time, and they're not going to want to pay me for that kind of time, because they were talking about driving an hour plus on the interstate. So they're not going to pay me to just test drive this to confirm. We have the before screenshots where we can get a screenshot of this after. Let me do that real fast. So let's print screen. So there we go. We've got a screenshot after, and that's going to be our documentation of, you know, we've made a repair to this vehicle. I feel very confident in returning it to them and let them drive it and see if another issue comes up. We also have that evap code for large leak. I'll see if they want me to dig into that at all. They might not. I don't know. I imagine it will be just a bad purge valve or vent valve, something like that. But if it becomes something interesting or something and they okay the time to diagnose that, I might shoot a video for that. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you guys later.